welcome to another episode of Fave Films of the Decade. So far in this series, I've listed my favorite movies from the 70s and the 80s. Now we get into another great decade, the 1990s. Whether it was remembered as the decade of relative peace and prosperity, or as the decade where pop culture blew up, the 90s were another iconic period, and even more great movies were shown to the world. So what was so great about movies in the 90s? Let's look back at what was going on. As studio-driven pictures and high-concept films were still going strong, a new wave was on the rise: independent cinema. These were movies produced outside the major film studio system, as well as being produced and distributed by independent or major entertainment companies. Independent filmmakers found success during this decade, creating both films that were critically acclaimed and financially successful. This would help bring a wider variety of voices and perspectives to the big screen, and with that, audiences were introduced to Quentin Tarantino, Wes Anderson, and Danny Boyle and their unique styles. A big shift was also happening with major studio films. As movies were featuring more special effects, new technologies like digital animation and CGI were introduced. This now allowed filmmakers to create new and exciting visual effects that have never been seen before. Movies like Terminator 2, Jurassic Park, and Toy Story would involve these technologies, and although they were more work to produce, they certainly wowed moviegoers after. The 90s saw the emergence of more great talent. Actors like Brendan Fraser, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Mike Myers hit the scene with their feature debuts, while breakthrough performances from actors like Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, and Macaulay Culkin were making them household names. Hollywood also saw leading figures of Hong Kong cinema coming over with varying success. Actors like Jackie Chan and Jet Li, directors like John Woo and Sui Hark, and fight choreographers like Yen Wu Ping. But the biggest reason why movies in the 90s were great is because that's when I was a kid. And 90s kids will tell you that movies back in the day were awesome. Sure, there were films that were meant for mature audiences that also turned kids on, but there were also a slew of great family movies. From films during the Disney Renaissance like Aladdin, The Lion King, and Tarzan, to other flicks like Home Alone, Matilda, and Stuart Little, many of our childhoods were spent watching those movies, and for me, continuing to watch them today, even if the films haven't aged well, reminds me of what life was like at the time. So, what do you say we get back to the list? Here are my fave films of the decade, the 1990s. Starting this list off strong, 1990 would see Tremors, The Hunt for Red October, Coupe de Ville, Joe vs. the Volcano, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ernest Goes to Jail, Far Out Man, House Party, Back to the Future Part 3, Total Recall, Dick Tracy, Gremlins 2, RoboCop 2, Die Hard 2, Ghost, Quick Change, The Freshman, Problem Child, Flatliners, The Two Jakes, Darkman, Goodfellas, Home Alone, Rocky V, Misery, Edward Scissorhands, Look Who's Talking 2, Awakenings, Kindergarten Cop, and The Godfather Part 3. 1991 sees Not Without My Daughter, The Silence of the Lambs, King Ralph, The Doors, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, What About Bob, Thelma and Louise, City Slickers, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, The Rocketeer, The Naked Gun 2.5, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Problem Child 2, Boys in the Hood, Point Break, Pure Luck, The Fisher King, The Super, Cape Fear, The Addams Family, An American Tail, 50 Goes West, My Girl, Hook, Father of the Bride, and JFK. 1992 sees Wayne's World, My Cousin Vinny, Beethoven, The Babe, Lethal Weapon 3, Alien 3, Encino Man, Batman Returns, A League of Their Own, Cool World, Honey I Blew Up the Kid, School Ties, Glengarry Glen Ross, Of Mice and Men, Reservoir Dogs, Army of Darkness, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, The Bodyguard, Aladdin, Toys, and Chaplin. 1993 would see Groundhog Day, A Far Off Place, Dragon the Bruce Lee Story, Cliffhanger, Super Mario Bros. It's a guilty pleasure. Life with Mikey, Jurassic Park, Last Action Hero, Dennis the Menace, Sleepless in Seattle, Weekend at Bernie's 2, The Fugitive, A Bronx Tale, Cool Runnings, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Carlito's Way, Addams Family Values, Mrs. Doubtfire, Wayne's World 2, Schindler's List, Beethoven 2nd, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and Grumpy Old Men. 1994 sees Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, My Girl 2, Reality Bites, The Naked Gun 33 1/3, Clifford, Major League 2, Crooklyn, The Crow, Beverly Hills Cop 3, The Flintstones, Speed, The Lion King, Baby's Day Out, Forrest Gump, True Lies, The Mask, The Little Rascals, Karina, In the Army Now, Terminal Velocity, The Shawshank Redemption, Ed Wood, Pulp Fiction, The Santa Claus, Junior, Drop Zone, Dumb and Dumber, and Street Fighter, another guilty pleasure. 1995, we're halfway through this decade now, and this year would have me liking In the Mouth of Madness, Billy Madison, Outbreak, Tommy Boy, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Casper, Batman Forever, Apollo 13, Waterworld, Mortal Kombat, Desperado, Get Shorty, Now and Then, Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, GoldenEye, It Takes Two, Casino, Toy Story, Father of the Bride Part 2, Jumanji, Grumpier Old Men, and Four Rooms. 1996 has From Dusk Till Dawn, Happy Gilmore, Trainspotting, Fargo, The Birdcage, Twister, Mission Impossible, The Cable Guy, Eraser, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Nutty Professor, Independence Day, Matilda, That Thing You Do, Larger Than Life, Space Jam, Jingle All the Way, 101 Dalmatians, Jerry Maguire, Mars Attacks, Beavis and Butthead Do America, and Scream. 1997 has Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, The Lost World Jurassic Park, Hercules, Men in Black, George of the Jungle, Air Force One, Good Burger, Air Bud, Rocket Man, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Good Will Hunting, The Borrowers, Home Alone 3, and Tomorrow Never Dies. 1998 sees U.S. Marshals, The Big Lebowski, Mercury Rising, The Odd Couple 2, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Hope Floats, Smoke Signals, Lethal Weapon 4, Saving Private Ryan, Halloween 20 Years Later, Rush Hour, Ants, American History X, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, I'll Be Home for Christmas, The Rugrats Movie, A Bug's Life, and Jack Frost. And for the final year of this decade, 1999 would see The Boondock Saints, Office Space, Analyze This, The Matrix, 10 Things I Hate About You, Three Kings, The Mummy, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Tarzan, Big Daddy, Wild Wild West, American Pie, Inspector Gadget, The Iron Giant, The World Is Not Enough, Toy Story 2, End of Days, Holy Smoke, The Green Mile, Stuart Little, and Galaxy Quest. Well, that's it for this edition of Fave Films of the Decade, but don't worry, we got 2 more decades to cover. Stick around for episode 4, as we'll be looking at my favorite movies from the 2000s. I'm Aaron Perella, and thank you for watching.